Hiya! So today I'm gonna see if I am really a classic reader. I do own a bunch of classics, but do I read them? That's the question. Um, I am going to go through a list of 100 classics in an article in Penguin and the website, and I'm gonna see how many of those that are listed have I read. And I hope I don't end up feeling really embarrassed. But I'm gonna put here the article for you to read it along with me. So let's go. Alright, so the first classic is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I have read that book. It's, I think, one of the most famous classics in the world. The second is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I have read that book. It's going good in the beginning. It's a super awesome book about stereotypes and first impressions and racism and combating that. The third book is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I have read that book, but I gave it 3 stars. I wasn't completely mesmerized by it, as some people are. Like in this list, it's in the third category, but third spot. But it's about Jay Gatsby, the enigmatic millionaire, and I just think the way women are portrayed in this book is not like in the greatest way, and I don't know. In people say that he kind of used his wife's writing to write this book. That's shady. Some people really believe that, like he stole her like diary entries and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's true. I don't know. The fourth book is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I have not read that book, but I do own it. And I am kind of fearful of reading it because I'm not really not into, but I have not dabbed into the magical realism stuff yet, so I don't know if I'm gonna like it or if I'm gonna be really confused. That's why I haven't read it yet, but I have that book. Okay, so number 5 is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I do have that book. I really want to read it. Several times this year I have pulled it out of the shelves and then put it back, but I am gonna read it. Number 6 is Why Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. I haven't read that book, but I don't have it, but it's one that it's in my TBR. It's says here that it's a feminist and anti-colonial prequel to Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. So I really want to read it since Jane Eyre is my favorite book of all time. Where's Jane Eyre in this list? So number 7 is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I did read this book. I gave it also 3 stars. I thought it was like way past its time. I don't know, I just think it was a little bit jumbled and I don't know, I wasn't a fan, but it was one of those classics I knew I had to read. Number 8 is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. It's one of my favorite books. I have read it. It's about this family who lives in a dilapidated castle, and one of the daughters has a diary and she captures the castle. She captures their lives, and it's super heartwarming. I really love this book and it needs a reread. Number 9 is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I did read this book and it's my favorite book of all time. It says here, one of literature's steeliest heroines in her short life, Jane Eyre has overcome a traumatic childhood only to be challenged by secrets, strange noises, and mysterious fires in her new home at Thornfield Hall. Yeah, it's a romance gothic book that is the greatest book of all time. It shouldn't be in number 9, it should be number 1. Number 10 is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I have not read that yet, but I do own it and I do plan on reading it. Okay, number 11 is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I have not read it. I do own it. It's in my TBR and I'm gonna read it. Number 12 is The Call of the Wild by Jack London. Another one that I haven't read it. It's in my TBR. I'm gonna read it. Oh man, this is not going good so far. Number 13 is The Chrysalids by John Wyndham. I have never heard of this book. It says it's an allegoric dystopia written in the wake of the Second World War. I have never even known this book existed, but it's the number 13. It's not on my TBR. I don't know about this book. Number 14 is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I have read Persuasion. It's a really good novel. It's one of her last novels, and it's really short and goes to the point really fast, and it's really good. Really good. Number 15 is Moby Dick by Herman Melville. It's one book that I've decided to unhaul. I had it for a while, and then I decided to unhaul it, and it's not on my TBR anymore. Number 16 is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Another book that is not on my TBR, and I don't plan on reading it. Maybe that'll change in the future. You don't know. Your tastes change with time, but right now I don't plan on reading it. Number 17 is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. I have not read this. I have read a bunch of Virginia Woolf, but not this one. It's in my TBR. I'm gonna read it. Number 18 is The Death of the Heart by Elizabeth Bowen. So I started this book and I DNF'd it. And I was really heartbroken because I thought it was gonna be one of my favorite books of all time. I still have it. I did not haul it because I think I'm still gonna give it a chance. I don't know if I'm gonna like it now that I've started DNF'd it, but it's a book that I'm willing to give a second chance. Okay, number 19 is Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. I have not read this one, but it's in my TBR. And I have read Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy, and I really liked it. So I think I haven't read this one yet because I think I've seen somewhere that it's really heartbreaking, but it's in my TBR. Number 20 is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, another classic that it's in my TBR and I haven't read it yet. Number 21 is The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. It's in my TBR, it's in my shelves. I haven't read it yet. Number 22 is The Go-Between by L.P. Hartley. I have never heard of this book. I don't know what it's about. A young boy's loss of innocence and critical view of society at the end of the Victorian era. It sounds good, but I have never even heard of this book. Number 23 is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. This one is in my TBR. I don't have it. I don't have a physical copy of it yet, but it's in my TBR. Number 24, finally, is 1984 by George Orwell. I have read this book. It's a dystopian future. It's really good. I think for the majority of dystopian futures, this one I think is the greatest. 1984 is the one to go if you want a really good dystopian novel. Number 25 is Buddenbrooks by Thomas Mann. I have never heard of this book. It's a semi-autobiographical family epic. I have never heard of it. Number 26 is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I have read this book. It's hard-hitting and heartbreaking and really sad, but I have read it. Number 27 is Beloved by Toni Morrison. I have not read this book, but I have it and it's in my TBR and I'm gonna read it. Number 28 is The Code of Woosters by P.G. Wodehouse. I have heard of this author, not this book, but it says this is the third full-length novel featuring P.G. Woldehouse's best known creations, The Bubbling Fool Birdie. So I think it's like a comedy, but I haven't read it yet, and it's not on my TBR. Then 29 is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I have it. I have a beautiful copy of it, but I haven't read it yet. Number 30 is Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I was gonna say Martin. Martin. So yeah, it's one of those books that I started and I DNF'd it, but I was really young, and I don't know if I would enjoy it if I gave it a try now, but still I am not really in the mood to put it in my TBR. It might change, but I don't feel interest in it at this point in my life. Number 31 is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. So this one is in my TBR and I have it, a physical copy, but I haven't read it yet. 32 is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. This one I have read. It's the only Charles Dickens that I have read. No, I have read A Christmas Carol too. It's really good. He weaves a really good story. Charles Dickens, and I think Great Expectations is his most famous novel. 33 is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. I have this one. I have not read it yet, but it's in my TBR. 34 is The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Edith Wharton. So this one is, I don't know if I'm gonna anger anyone, but I DNF'd it also. But I DNF'd it at like 80%. I just could not take it anymore. It was just really, really boring. That's what I felt towards this book. I just found it really, really boring, and I just couldn't take it anymore. But since I read almost all of it, I'm gonna put it in the red pile, okay? So number 35 is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. This one is in my TBR and I have a copy of it. Number 36 is Middlemarch by George Eliot. I have that in my TBR and I really, really want to read it. It's a book that is really long. One of those scary classics that's chunky, but I really want to read it. Number 37 is Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. I have heard of it, but I haven't put in my TBR. Let's see. It says a visceral tale made of smells and sounds and bumps and knocks. A brilliant way to immerse yourself in one of the most fascinating, turbulent periods of the 20th century via wonderful, fantastical conceit. It doesn't say much of what this book is about, but I have not read it. Number 38 is the Iliad by Homer. It says here, it's one of the greatest and most influential epic poems ever written. I have it. I have not read it yet. It's really scary. I am afraid I won't get it at all and it will go over my head. But I have it and I have not read it yet. Number 39 is Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. I have this book and I mean to read it, especially because it's Charlotte Bronte's favorite book, and she actually dedicated Jane Eyre, which is my favorite book, to William Makepeace Thackeray. So definitely I'm gonna read it. I have not read it yet. Number 40 is Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. I have not read it yet. I have a beautiful Folio Society edition of this book and it's in my TBR. I'm gonna read it. Finally, one I read. 41 is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. It's a coming of age story, and it's really good. I gave it 5 stars. Some people say it's like a red flag book. If you like that book, you have problems. So maybe I do have problems. I don't know. Number 42 is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I did read this book. It was fine. Number 43 is The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. I don't have this book on my TBR yet because I haven't read Middlemarch. I want to read Middlemarch first to see if I really like George Eliot's writing. Then I would put The Mill on the Floss in my TBR. Number 44 is Barchester's Towers by Anthony Trollope. I have not read this one. I have not heard of this one. It's not in my TBR. Number 45 is Another Country by James Baldwin. So James Baldwin is an author that I really mean to read. I want to read his novels, but I have never heard of Another Country. But James Baldwin is in my TBR. I forget the name of the book that I think is Giovanni's Room. Yeah, that I have. So 46 is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. This one I have, but I'm too scared to read it because it is ginormous. This one I'm not sure if I'm gonna read. I just have to be honest. I have it and I don't know if I'm gonna ever open it, but I'm too scared to unhaul it, so it's there, taking space. Number 47 is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. I have read this one. It's as whimsical as the movie. It's really, really sweet and I love it. Number 48 is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I have read this one and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars and I was shocked to know that she wrote this book at 16 years old. If I had this power, this talent to write a book such as The Outsiders at 16 years old, man. But I have read that one. Number 49 is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Dumas? I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna read this one only because it's ginormous, but I think it's in my TBR, yes, but I don't have it. Number 50 is The One and Only Ulysses by James Joyce. I have Ulysses. It's in my video of the most intimidating books that I own, and I'm gonna read it one day, and maybe I'll be really confused, maybe I'll love it. It's something that I meant to do in the future, is try Ulysses. Number 51 is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I haven't read this one, but it's in my TBR and I have a beautiful folio edition, Folio Society copy of this book. I mean to read it. Number 52 is The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I have this book, but I don't feel really like I really want to read it. I have it because it's a classic, and it, like most Russian novels, is really, really long, and I don't know if I'm gonna read it anytime soon, but I have it. So number 53 is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. Yeah, Nabokov. I don't know. It's like controversial novel about a man that like is infatuated with a child or a teen, I don't know, something like that. It says here it's beautifully written, and it takes you into the mind of this awful character. So I am interested. I have this book, it's in my TBR, but I'm afraid of it because of the synopsis, mostly. Number 54 is A Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, and I have read this one and I really liked it. As a child, I watched the movie, and it's like one of those stories that bring you so much nostalgia, and I have read this book and I really liked it. Number 55 is Scoop by Evelyn Waugh. I have not read this book, I haven't heard of this book. Number 56 is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I have it, I have not read it yet, it's in my TBR. Number 57 is A Diary of Nobody by George Grossmith and Whedon Grossmith. So I have never heard of this book, but it says here it follows a respectable middle-class man and his attempts to live a respectful middle-class life. Okay, so it says it's a really funny novel, and you laugh out loud every time. Okay, so I haven't heard of this book before now. So number 58 is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I have read it. It's my third favorite novel of all time. It's Anna Karenina. I love it so much. It's about a woman who has an affair and is married and has an affair, but she's like making all the wrong decisions, and she has mental issues also, and I really related to Anna Karenina, and especially Levin in this book is a sweetheart, is a cinnamon bun. I always felt like this book should be called Levin because I think it deals more with Levin than Anna Karenina, but anyway, it's top notch. Anna Karenina is awesome. Number 59 is The Betrothed by Alessandro Manzoni. I have never heard of this book. I don't know. Number 60 is Orlando by Virginia Woolf. I have this book in a folio edition, and I'm gonna read it. It's my TBR. It's about a woman who like lives forever. From the court of Elizabeth I to the 20th century, you like go through her life, and it says, what is it to be a woman? Woolf's modernist novel is so fresh, even 90 or so years later. Gender fluidity before the term was even coined. So yeah, this one I really mean to read, and I'm really excited about it. Number 61 is one that I am already gonna tell you I'm not gonna read. Is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. I'm not interested in anything written by Ayn Rand. I don't know, she's a really problematic figure, I think, and I am not really interested in her books. Number 62 is The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I have not read this one, but it's in my TBR. Number 63 is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I haven't read this one, and I don't know if I am interested in it. Military strategy is not something I'm interested in, so I don't know if I'm gonna go for this one. Number 64 is the Forsyte Saga by John Galsworthy. It's a Nobel Prize winning author. So yeah, this one is in my TBR. I don't have it in a physical copy yet, but it's one that I mean to read. I intend to read. Number 65 is Travels with Charlie by John Steinbeck. Well, a lot of John Steinbeck in this list. I haven't even heard of Travels with Charlie, but apparently it's about a dog. I don't know. I don't have this in my TBR. Number 66 is Tropic of Cancer by Henry Miller. I'm not sure if I have this in my TBR, but I have heard of it. I haven't read it. Number 67 is Women in Love by D.H. Lawrence. I have this one in my TBR, but I haven't read it yet. Number 68 is Staying On by Paul Scott. I have never heard of this book. It says it's a funny, tragic, beautifully written study of an English colonial married couple left behind as an independent India moves ahead. I feel like this list of classics is kind of a more alternative one because it puts a lot of modern classics. This one is written in 1977, so maybe that's why I'm not doing so great. The next book is the 69, The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. I haven't read this book yet, but it's in my TBR and I mean to read it one day. Number 70 is My Antonia by Willa Cather. I don't know of this book. I haven't heard of this book. Number 71 is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I have read this book I think more than once, and I really like it. It says it's controversial at the time of the publication. I imagine it was. It's really good. It's by the sister of Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte. Really good. Number 73 is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I have read War and Peace. It's a saga. It's really, really long, but it's worth it. Every minute of it is worth it. It's the only two books by Tolstoy that I've read. It's Anna Karenina and War and Peace, and they're both exquisite. I think Tolstoy is like up there. Number 74 is Of Human Bondage by Somerset Maugham. It's considered his most autobiographical of his works. I haven't read this one, but it's in my TBR. I don't have a physical copy of it yet. Number 75 is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. I have not read this one, but I do own it, and it's in my TBR. Number 76 is Lost Illusions by I don't know how to pronounce this. Honoré de Balzac. I don't know. This one I have heard of, but I'm not sure if it's in my TBR. 77 is Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. I've heard of Slaughterhouse for number 5. Is that the one? But not this one. I haven't heard of this one. Number 78 is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I have read it. I'm not in love with it. I gave it, I think, 4 stars. It was good, but I think if I have to compare it with the other book that I've read by him, which is Great Expectations, the spotlight is gonna be on Great Expectations. Number 79 is Silas Marner by George Eliot. A lot of George Eliot in this list. I have never heard of this book, Silas Marner. It's not on my TBR. Number 80 is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I have read this book and I have loved this book. This is one of my favorite Virginia Woolf's novels, and it's in the span of a day of Mrs. Dalloway, and it's the way she can make character development in the span of one day is amazing. I love Virginia Woolf. Number 81 is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I have not read this one yet, but I intend to read it. I almost started it this year, but I just gave up and picked up another book, but I'm gonna read it, and I have a folio edition of it. It's beautiful. The sad thing is Folio Society stopped shipping to Brazil, and it broke my heart. I don't know how I'm gonna, because I really wanted to have all of Jane Austen's books in like one edition, so they're like all beautiful. And Folio Society is not the cheapest books because they're amazing, and I was buying them one by one, and I have now 5 of them, and the 6th one I can't get because Folio is not shipping to Brazil anymore, and what am I gonna do? I only have 5 of them. It's so sad. Okay, now going back to the list, number 82 is The Sea by Iris Murdoch. I have this one in my TBR. I don't have a physical copy of it yet, but it's in my TBR. Number 83 is The Godfather by Mario Puzo. I haven't had any interest in reading this book. My cousin read it and he really liked it, but I think I'm gonna stick to the movies on this one. Number 84 is The Castle by Franz Kafka. I have only read the Metamorphoses by Franz Kafka yet, so this one is in my TBR. I'm not sure if I have it a physical copy, but it's in my TBR. Number 85 is I, Claudius by Robert Graves. It's in my TBR. I haven't read it. Number 86 is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I have read it. I read the Mina Lima copy, which has like interactive illustrations, and it's a wonderful ride. And I was really stoked that I waited to read Peter Pan in this Mina Lima copy because it was so whimsical, so childlike, and wonderful. Number 87 is A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. This one is in my TBR. I have no idea what it's about, but it says here the characters are fantastic and it makes me laugh. So yeah. I don't know much about it, but it's in my TBR. The number 88 is The Razor's Edge by W. Somerset Maugham, or Maugham. I have no idea how to pronounce that. It says it's been adapted twice for the big screen. I'm not sure I have this one on my TBR. I have to check, but I have heard of it. Number 89 is Lark Rise to Candleford by Flora Thompson. I have never heard of this in my entire life. I don't know what it is about. It says here, it's a semi-autobiographical recollections of the author's youth and growing up in Oxfordshire, and paints a delightful portrait of country life at the end of the 19th century. It seems it's capturing me. It seems like a good read. It seems like something I would like to read. Number 90 is The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy. I don't have this in my TBR. I don't know if one day I'll put it in, but I don't have it in my TBR. Number 91 is A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. I think I unhauled this. I'm not sure, but I think I unhauled it because I was like, if I'm gonna read James Joyce, it's gonna be Ulysses. And it says it's his first novel, so it may be, I don't know, easier to understand, but James Joyce gives me a dread. It gives me like a nervous feeling, just because people say his books are so hard to digest and to understand even. So this one is a maybe for me. 92 is Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. I have started this book and DNF'd it. I wasn't feeling it. It was I don't know, it just didn't grab my attention. I DNF'd it. I'm gonna count the DNFs also, so come for me. 93 is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I have this one, and it's the first one that I want to read by Elizabeth Gaskell. I don't know much about it, but I know it's a classic, and it says here it's a swooningly romantic book. So yeah. Number 94 is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I have read The Handmaid's Tale. It's awesome. It's like, I kind of compare it to 1984, but instead of people's privacy, it exchanges it with women's rights. And The Handmaid's Tale is amazing. It's really good. Number 95 is Sweet Frances. I don't know if that's correct pronunciation, by Irene Nemirovsky. I've never heard of this book. Never heard of this book. Number 96 is One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Solzhenitsyn. Yeah, I have never heard of this one either. Man, I'm doing really bad. I thought I would do better. Gonna be honest with you. Number 97 is What a Carve Up by Jonathan Coe. I also have never heard of this book. It's written in 1994, so it's a really modern classic, but I haven't even heard of it. Number 98 is Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert Pirsig. Okay, so this one I have heard of, but it's not in my TBR. 99 is White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I have never heard of it, and it's not on my TBR. And number 100 finally is Hard Times by Charles Dickens. It's in my TBR. I have a copy of it, but I haven't read it, so I don't think I did very well in this list. Let's see how many I read. So I have only read 25 of these 100 classics. I need to get my classics read because this was embarrassing. But there you go. I have read with the DNFs 25 of the list of 100 books of classics by Penguin, their own opinion of what classics are. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a nice time watching this video. I hope you have a great day and awesome week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.